Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be having a look at a brand new Transformers character card that was revealed, spoiled, leaked, call it what you will, by the lovely folks over at Wreck and Rule. Now, they did do a video on this yesterday. I will pop a link in the description. You know my feelings on this by now, ladies and gentlemen. They were the lovely chaps that went and did the reveal for this. So let's make sure we give them a little bit of love. Click on that video, check it out. And if you've never checked out Wreck and Rule, there's a very good chance that if you're watching this, you like Transformers. And if you like Transformers, you'll like them. So do make sure you go check them out. So Blurr then. Blurr is a fantastically interesting card. It is... well, it's one of these that kind of takes a couple of looks. It's one of the more complicated ones in terms of abilities. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of what I'm here for. Now, if we have a look at the stats, with one exception, the stats are not impressive. It is a 12 cost. That is expensive. That is 50% above the average cost of 8. 12 makes it an expensive character. If you then give it a health of 10, which is 2 below the average, and a defense of 2, which is directly on the average, and an attack of 3 in ult mode, which is 1 below the average, I sit here extremely unimpressed with what are objectively very bad stats. Now, I will say, the attack of 6 in bot mode is good. This is 50% higher than average, 6 rather than 4. When I say average, I'm talking about wave 1 averages. Obviously, this is going to change in wave 2, but we'll have to deal with that when we've got more data. As it stands, decent attack in bot mode, bad stats. Sorry. But here's the thing. It's got a skill in ult mode, which kind of makes us forgive it. What it reads is, when this does attack damage to a tapped enemy, while there's at least one untapped enemy, this untaps and attacks an untapped enemy. Well, that's pretty nice. Now, I did plan this video before watching the Wreck and Rule video for obvious reasons. Didn't want to just repeat what they'd said, but I did check out their video and they did say that this only works once. Think of it like Grimlock. Grimlock is a nice little analogy here. Grimlock's got a great skill that basically says, this is the bot mode skill, that if you KO a character, the rest of the attack damage carries on to another character, but then it stops. And this was cleared up in the FAQ. You can only KO 2 characters with Grimlock. You can't move it on to a third. It seems to be the case here. You do damage to a tapped enemy while there's at least one untapped enemy. This will untap and attack an untapped enemy. You basically get 2 attacks here, which is ridiculous. Now, one thing to remember here, and this is very important, generally speaking, you play an action, play an upgrade, transform, and then attack. Obviously here it says untap and attack, so it doesn't let you untap and do everything. You untap and attack. But you know what? You get 2 attacks. Now, on the one hand, this is kind of like a little bit of a slap in the face, because the only good stat on this card is the attack of 6 in bot mode, and you don't want to be attacking in bot mode. You want to be attacking in ult mode so that you can attack a tapped character and then go and attack an untapped character. And this whole attacking an untapped enemy thing is very interesting. Now, obviously, if you're going first, you end up in a position where actually all characters are untapped, which means you get a choice of who to attack. And this skill only actually comes in when you attack a tapped enemy. So don't be that person that goes and attacks an untapped character going first and then goes, I ruined the skill. Don't be that person. That is bad. But otherwise, you both get 2 attacks and you get to attack a tapped character. Now, in terms of attacking a tapped character, we do have a couple of cards that fit this mold. There is the Secret Rare Bumblebee. I actually pulled my second one of these out of my boxes yesterday. I don't currently have a Secret Rare Nemesis, so if anyone out there wants to do a trade of super rares, they are super rares, not secret rares, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. But when you flip Bumblebee Legendary Warrior into ult mode, you can attack untapped enemies as though they were tapped. And we have actually had another character revealed from Wave 2. This is one of the Predacons It is Razor Claw, which will allow you to attack untapped characters as though they were tapped when you flip to the mode. So pretty much the same as Bumblebee Legendary Warrior. So that is a mechanic that is out there on other characters, but this is really nice because what often happens is people tap the character they don't want attacked last so that they can give it some element of protection, because unless no characters are tapped, you can only attack tapped characters. So there's strategy there in leaving characters tapped so that you can give them a bit of protection till you're ready to use them, and then a character like Blurr comes in and goes, not only am I going to be attacking an untapped character, which I shouldn't really be able to do, but I'm also going to make that my second attack. So when I'm thinking of Blurr here, I'm basically thinking, okay, I don't care about bot mode. I'm all about the ult mode. And let's be clear, right? The reason why it's got such bad stats on a 12 cost is because of this skill. The health is extremely low for a 12 cost. And the defense of 2 on a 12 cost is not impressive. Let's be clear about this, right? The stats aren't good because of this. So what we really want to do is take that attack of 3 and build it up into something an awful lot better. And one of the cards that really springs to mind here is another card that was revealed by Wreck and Rule, and that is Reckless Charge. Now, the great thing about Reckless Charge is that, firstly, it's got an orange pip, which is great because you want to be attacking with this. And it gives one of your characters +4 attack until end of turn, and then you do 3 damage to it. Well, boosting this from 3 attack to 7 is great. And I know you've got to take the 3 damage, but this is a 10 health character with 2 defense and a frankly pretty phenomenal skill. Your opponent is going to be trying to take this down. Your opponent is not just going to leave Blurr there to be attacking twice every turn. Your opponent is going to be going after it. So actually, maybe you take the 3 damage. Maybe you take the 3 damage and go, you know what? That's actually not a problem because I'm probably going to go down pretty quickly anyway, so why don't I just let myself go down? Give in, accept that I'm going down, and get 2 big attacks while I'm doing so. But if you really don't want to take that damage, we do have some other options here. I think chief among them is Leap into Battle. Now, the blue icon in an attacking deck, boo, hiss, etc. But it gives one of your characters +3 attack until the end of your turn. Okay, so it's not quite as good as Reckless Charge, but if you don't want to take the 3 damage, you go Leap into Battle. If you're cool with taking the 3 damage, you go Reckless Charge. We could also go Grenade Launcher here. What is important here is the language on Grenade Launcher. It gives you +4 attack, but it says after you attack, scrap this card. So even though you get 2 attacks, it would fall off after the first attack. Maybe the FAQ is updated to say this doesn't happen, but as it stands at the moment, this is what happens. But if you're damaged, you can use Energon Axe. You can only put it on damaged characters, but it gives you +3 attack and Pierce 2. So I kind of like this, to be honest with you. I think this could be kind of fun. It's slightly risky, because obviously if you're not damaged, then you're not going to be able to use it. But I do think it is something that you should absolutely be considering here, because it is something that could really, really make a difference. And I really do think that's where you need to be going with Blurr. You need to be basically saying, right, I'm going to get 2 big attacks off, and actually, even if I go down, first of all, I've got 2 attacks off, and secondly, I'm protecting my other characters. So let's say for argument's sake, and I'm not saying you should, it's just an example, but let's say for argument's sake you play this with Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend. You go kind of heavy Autobots here. Well, if your opponent's going after Blurr, they're leaving Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, who's got 14 health and an attack of 8 and can play extra action cards, and is a huge offensive threat, possibly the best in the game, and you really want your opponent leaving it alone. You do, your opponent doesn't. Similarly, we could play this with any character, which just gives your other characters bold or ups their attack. So, something like Flame War here, which gives each of your characters bold 1 until end of turn. That's pretty gosh darn nice. Though not as nice as Prowl, Prowl is even better, because you see, Prowl is a car, and when you flip to alt mode, each of your cars gets bold 2 until end of turn. So I like Flame War. Flame War's very cheap, but I think we're probably going to have to go Prowl here in terms of the better option. The other thing I really like about Prowl is it's very cheap. It's only actually a 6 cost, so that would put you on 18, which would still give you room to play another car. And you are a car here, and that's really good. I've already mentioned Prowl's alt mode, but we can mention Prowl's bot mode here, which says that when one of your cars is KO'd, you repair free damage from one of your other characters. Or we could talk about Wheeljack here, which in alt mode lets you draw a card when you upgrade one of your characters. And I know it is one of the convention exclusives, so it isn't cheap, but you've got to mention Cliff Jumper here, which has +1 attack for each car in your KO area, and when you flip one of your other cars to bot mode, you draw a card. What is upsetting about Cliff Jumper is that it is an 8 cost, which means that if you play Cliff Jumper with Blurr, you're not also going to be able to use Prowl. That would put me off using Cliff Jumper personally. Then, of course, let's not forget that you do have access to Start Your Engines, which lets you flip each of your characters from bot mode to car mode and then untap one of your cars. You know how I said you could only use 2 attacks when you're using this? That's true, but you do also potentially get to use Start Your Engines to potentially use a skill again. Now, this would be super awkward because you want to be in car mode, so you would then have to flip and then flip again. Possible, but, you know, rapid conversion and brainstorm would work. It seems like a little bit awkward to me. But we do have the upgrade turbo boosters here, which when you put it onto a character, you untap it. That might be a better way of untapping here. Though the logistics of using it twice with your opponent having the right number of tapped characters and untapped characters might end up being a little bit awkward. I should also mention here that you are a melee character, and that is very nice indeed, because being a melee character means you have access to a couple of very powerful upgrades, that being Power Sword, which gives you bold free, which is lovely, especially because, again, what you're probably going to be doing here is having essentially 1 turn with 2 powerful attacks, so having bold free in the process, very nice idea. And body armor, which will give you tough free, and you are melee in either mode, which is lovely. That will give you a little bit more survivability, if of course you are playing some blue pips. This seems like a fantastically well-positioned character because we know we're getting combiners. And if we look at something like Predaking here, Predaking is going to be playing a 5-wide deck. And we assume that some of the other combiners are going to be playing 5-wide, and there's rumours that one might be 6-wide. So actually, if they're playing 5 characters and you're playing 3, that gives them 2 extra attacks. We don't like this. This will help you to redress the balance. This will help you to get an extra attack in, so that 2 extra attacks turns into 1 extra attack. And if you can beef this up a little bit and go against 2 fairly weak Predacons, there is every possibility you can actually take out 2 characters in one go with this, and that is going to make things rather nice indeed. Blurr is a very complicated character that takes a minute to get your head around, and Blurr has bad stats. But the skill that lets you double attack, that's got to be worth playing around with. But ladies and gentlemen, I would very much like to know what you think about Blurr, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the most important rule as always, be nice, would ya? Do make sure you check out the boys over at Wreck and Rule, highly recommended. Thank you very much for spoiling the card. I liked it very much. And of course, do make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where I talk about Transformers and other games. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.